Hi, friends. Welcome. Today, I am so excited because Rachel Schell, Anchored Trainings, Director of Learning Experience Design, and we are spilling the tea on 2021 and talking about all of our highs, lows, and everything in between. Hey, Rachel, thanks so much for joining. Why don't you introduce yourself to our YouTube friends?
Yeah, hey everybody. So excited to be here. I'm Rachel Schell, as Vanessa said, and I am the Director of Learning Experience Design for Anchored Training. So I basically oversee the vision of our e learning and what we're doing and how we roll it out and, all of that. So,
Well, I am so excited to have Rachel here. We've been now working together for a year. Actually, last night I saw on LinkedIn you celebrated a year at Anchor Training, and it was a really big moment. Not just to celebrate that, but to celebrate to bring you on board. And it was a really we're both like super nervous to ask to like have that conversation, which was really fun. But well, like not fun in the moment, fun now, and like funny to think about. But I think it was a really great way for us to be able to solidify ourselves as a training company and really like take it to that next level and really start to really kick off 2021 and what we wanted to see. So let's start off with some of our goals that we had for 2021. And I'll start. So like my first like number one goal was to bring in Tiffany as our operations manager. She is someone that I've had my eye on for a really long time, friend of the family, and I needed that because I needed someone that was going to help me in the business, see all of the financials and all the confidential information as someone to be able to trust with all of that, but also someone that could be in my home and all the things. So
Mhm.
that was a huge goal. What were some of the other things?
so I remember, so just to give everybody a little context, so when we started off the new year, it was the second or third week of January, we actually sat down and did a goal setting session. So when we talk about our goals, I'm really proud of us for doing this because we haven't always been so organized, but we did have the foresight to sit down and record our goals, which is so great. Like, if you're looking for any advice, do that. Like, even if it's just yourself writing them down on post-it notes,
Mhm.
it has been so cool to go back and look at the goals we set. So one goal that we did set, besides, because ops manager, that was like our first goal for sure. I very clearly remember us talking about that. I remember one of our second or third big goals that we discussed was starting a course. We wanted to create a course, and this course was going to be well, we bounced around a lot of ideas. We talked about a course for new instructional designers. We talked about one for instructional designers wanting to start their own business. We started about doing one for instructional designers who are actively working and wanted to kind of build up their skills. What's really interesting about this is we actually tabled that. So that's kind of a big
Mhm.
takeaway. And that was a learning moment for me this year because up until this year, I felt like if I set a goal, hell or high water, we were going to meet that goal. you know,
Mhm.
but us working together has really shown me that like we have to trust the process and the journey we're on. And so I remember us going back in August and kind of looking through our goals. It was August because we were halfway through the year. And I remember
Mhm.
us having this really great discussion about, you know, that's not a goal that we need to go after. Things have changed and we're really on a great path here. Let's table that goal. That's not something that fits in with where we are now. And
Mhm.
so I wanted to bring that up because I'm really proud that we realized that that goal didn't fit into what we're trying to do right now. And so just because we said it didn't mean that we had to continue to work towards that goal. But we know
Mhm.
that we might eventually get there. It's just not the time for right now.
You know what's interesting about that goal too? I feel like if I look at when we created it
Mm-hmm.
and everything that's happened since then, that has like made us realize that it wasn't the goal that we need right now, and it might not ever be the goal that we need, is we were really much at that time like kind of in freelancer mindset, right? Trying to figure out how to bring in additional revenue into the business. And of course, who wouldn't think like another income stream would be a course? I think eventually, for sure, for both of us, courses will be in the plan, but just not be the course that I actually like was just looking at earlier somewhere over here. I was actually just looking at the outline for it this morning. But yeah, it's not something that we needed to do. And when things started to really fall into place of things that we wanted to do and where we wanted the business to go,
Mm-hmm.
we like, that's when we pushed it off, and that's when we realized it wasn't the right goal for us at
Right.
this time.
Right. Which I think that all of this leads to kind of the third goal we set, that I'm going to let you talk about, because this all leads to us trying to figure out who is anchored training.
Yeah, so that was definitely another big goal that we kind of started in 2020 when we decided building anchored training. And I spent a lot of time kind of building my own personal brand in 2020. But I wanted to make sure that anchored training was getting just as much, I don't want to say publicity, but like awareness, really, like who we are, what we do, and to break away from the fact of anchored training equals Vanessa Alzate. Like it does, but when we work on a project, because we're moving into this agency model, like I didn't want people to think that, yeah, you're going to meet me, I'm probably going to do your sales calls, but I'm not going to always be the instructional designer in your project. I might be, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I will. And more often than not, I probably won't be. So my role is really shifting. And that was definitely a huge goal, was to make anchor to training separate for myself so that it was a little bit clearer for potential clients.
Yeah, and that directly led to it's a it's kind of funny. We set a goal about increasing our sales, and like we set a goal because and I'm saying this because anybody watching is probably like, well, duh, that should always be a goal to increase your sales. And yeah, I mean, I get it, but our goal was like, we're going to so focus on this. We are going to hire someone to be a salesperson. We are going to come up with these sales strategies. And we did. And we started off the year with
Mm-hmm.
doing that. And we did this, but at the same time, one thing about Vanessa and I is we are learners. We always have learned. We always will learn. Like lifelong learners is just,
Mm-hmm.
that's tattooed on our head. We are always looking for more information and anything that can help us. And I remember at that time we were watching some, business coaches, and they were really telling us like, you need to really focus on sales before marketing. And so we did that. But for us, we weren't seeing that really fall into place with what we were trying to do. And this kind of goes back to all these things were changing, and it was no longer just Vanessa, it was now us, and we were bringing on a team. And so we were really shifting from that freelancer to that agency, and the company was changing. And we realized that part of our journey is we needed to find out who we were and what we stood for and what did anchor training mean. So we flipped that goal, and we stopped focusing on sales, and we really started focusing on our marketing. Who are we? What do we
Mm-hmm.
have to say? I mean, you just celebrated 1 year of the YouTube channel, you know? And that was a
Mm-hmm.
big part
Yeah.
of that. Um, how
And
how did marketing fit into this? And I'm really proud of us flipping that goal and focusing
yeah,
on marketing.
same. And I think that we will talk to clients about like instructional design and really putting doing the right thing all the time. Doing the needs analysis, doing a blueprint, really figuring out what's the right solution instead of just prescribing training like an e-learning module. And I think that's the same thing. Like I think I was scared to spend on marketing because the return is not immediately there. When you spend on sales, there's a better chance that you'll get in a return because one of those sales will land. Well, I turned that around and just took a leap of faith and really like went into the savings and said, you know what, I'm going to go and I'm going to spend the money in the marketing, spend the money on brand photos, spend the money on going to these conferences, spend the money on, just all the things, my editors, this and that, because I know that consistency is key. And if you're going to wait for me to edit, I can barely find time to like wash my hair on a regular basis, let alone, I was going to say daily, but that's really bad for you. Let alone like edit videos to be ready weekly. And that's all like money that I invest personally. And that is something that, I signed up for a coach this year, and it was a very big investment. Like I had to sign up for a large amount every single month, but by doing those things, and investing in myself and therefore the company, we're able to be where we are right now, which is so like once marketing really fell into place, it changed our trajectory.
I mean, like I can't
Absolutely.
I can't even put into words. Like there's some measurable return on investment pieces, but like just there's things that you can't measure. Like just a meeting this morning where someone said to me like, this last video Vanessa did, I really liked how she talked about this, and people sending me LinkedIn direct messages asking me to share the framework our learner focused framework with them. Like, that's amazing. That's amazing. And that's in less than 1 year that we started focusing on our marketing, and we're already seeing it pay off. And so, yeah, really that goal that started in sales and then we flipped to marketing that's been huge for us. Maybe one of our most successful goals this year. We'll have to go back and look.
I think so. I would definitely say that. I think the other thing that we're in the middle of doing, and we can talk about it a little bit more next, is like one of our goals was just figuring out, I don't want to call it hierarchy, like I'm above you and this and that, but just like what is our structure and our systems really? And that's probably better, right? Systems and structures. Like I love a good system and a good structure, and I love a good document. And so really shifting that was a big goal. So how do you think the business has changed this year?
So I think what you were saying there, I think that, putting a system in place was the biggest thing for us. And I know we're going to break it down here and kind of talk about it, but I want to stop and say like the system, that if I was to just say overall, how's it changed? It would have to be our system. And, a system can mean a lot of things. If you're watching, what is a system? Well, really, I like to define it as it's the way we do things, and it's the technology we use. It's how we communicate with clients. It's how we communicate with each other. It's just all of that together. And I think that us recognizing that we needed to find our system, but being flexible enough to change, because we've already changed software that we used. We've switched some things in and out. We, defined a whole communication plan for our team. I think that our system and the way that the organization is operating, that would have to be the biggest change. And then when you break it down from there, I mean, then it goes into how we do things to what are my job roles? What are your job roles?
Yeah, that was definitely hard. And I think we talk a lot about this, and I've already mentioned it, like breaking away from the freelancer mindset. And it can be very difficult to do that, and wanting to like jump in and do all the things. Well, if I'm jumping in and doing all the things, that's taking away from something else that the business needs. And then we all fall because I didn't hold up my end of what my responsibilities were because I got scared and I jumped in and did all of the things, and recognizing that it's a business. It's not just me. I'm not a freelancer. Has definitely been a big shift. But I also wouldn't take it away. And like having been a freelancer and all of that, because what I really love that we're doing, like when we sat down and started writing out like all of the things that we wanted to cover in our contractor handbook and like the type of culture we want to have and all of those types of things, and like communication and all of that, like we took from the best and the worst and vowed to not do that to our freelancers, right? So like up until just this morning, when I'm telling you you're not working on Sunday for that client, like if they want to meet with you, they can meet with you during normal business hours. Like as a freelancer, maybe you would have taken that because I think so, freelancers is kind of like feast or famine and they're the paying client, and being able to stand up and say, absolutely not, like that shit is not happening, not appropriate. Yeah. And we need to make sure we're setting like boundaries, but then also wanting, like, I know as a freelancer that feast or famine is really challenging. So I know we talk a lot about like how can we have stability for our contractors through our pipeline, through our clients, so that they feel more secure, so they can then achieve their goals, whatever like they are. We were just talking about, wanting to buy vacation homes in the future. I want that for the contractors too, if they want that, you know what I mean? And like, how can I help support their dreams? With that kind of stability is like definitely something that I think about and something that I know I want to continue to take into the future of the company.
Yeah. And I'm right there with you. My own personal challenge for this year has been to really step into this leadership role, which means stepping away from being that freelancer. And it's so difficult because we've both freelanced for a long time. And so we were used to doing all the things. But one of the things that I really realized this year, I reflect a lot. You have to listen to those reflections. So
Yeah,
one of
but
the
you need
things
to do that.
one of the things that I share with you a lot is that it's very selfish of me to think that I'm the only one that can do all of the things that we need done, because I have strengths and you have strengths, and then our team has strengths. And if I try to do all the things, well, I'm bringing my strengths and my weaknesses in. So when we really let go and define our roles and figure out, what it is that this is what I'm good at and this is what I bring to the table, but this is what someone else on the team is good at. We're letting them shine through. And then our clients and our customers get better products because we're all bringing the best of ourselves to the project. And so
Absolutely.
that's been really amazing to figure that out. But I will say one thing, that's while we're doing all of this, one of the coolest things about this, and this goes back to when we started talking and working together, is that no matter what, our learning philosophy, we both are on the same page about how we believe people learn, how we think all learning should roll out, how it should happen. And so, even though all of our roles are changing, even though how our systems are changing, the way that we think people should learn and the quality of learning that we're putting out there, that's always been the same. And that's been really
Yeah.
interesting, that's at the core, and then everything else builds around that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that.
So, thinking about how we believe learning should happen and all that, what was your favorite project of 2021?
My favorite project was our project with Ezra.
Oh.
And the reason for that is because it was the first time that I was able to set up a project with the team structure in mind, where I was like, okay, Rach, like, that's all you. Let me know, what I can help with, when you need something. And we'll invoice we have to invoice, let me know how much. And that was really fun. That being said, it wasn't the perfect project.
Yeah.
And I was still ended up in the work.
Yeah.
For a lot of different reasons. So it wasn't like, so even though it was structured the closest at that time, now we have another few projects where it's structured exactly how I want it to be. At that time, I had to jump in and do some things just to help speed things along. Nothing major, but still things that I bottlenecked. But I was really excited about that. Plus, I love onboarding, and like being able to be part of their onboarding materials and bringing it to life and bringing their vision to life that we've been talking to them about since the end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Was really, really fun for me. And they got so excited to finally see full products. And we've really created a great trusting partnership where I do believe they're going to continue to utilize like the philosophies that we've taught them, the tools that we've taught them to continue to build on top of the foundation that we just started. Like we literally scratched the surface, but they're already like itching for more. So that gets me really excited when someone who's not in learning like wants to continue to do more.
And it's really important to bring up also that in a way they were our perfect client for this year, because we did have those discussions at the end of last year. And then we worked together to train them and help them, analyze what they were trying to do. But we actually didn't start the e-learning until middle of this year. So it gave us a chance to grow and figure things out before we actually started doing this. So so that's just kind of a unique thing about that client. I want to throw that out there, is that we didn't start out of the gate with you going, here you go. It was, we actually worked with them for about 6 months before we started the e-learning. And then you gave it to me and let me take it and manage it. And it's been great. It's been a success. So.
Yeah. What about you?
So my favorite project actually came about the same time. So if you're following along, there's a theme. We had to figure a lot out. And then about July, we started working with C40. Remember C40?
I love them.
Gosh. That was my absolute favorite project. First of all, what C40 is doing is just amazing. They're literally changing the world, and they're trying to tackle greenhouse emissions and clean construction, and they're working with cities. So first of all, their whole journey is just amazing. And so I'm very grateful that we got to be a part of that. But C40, what was really unique is they came to us with a problem and they said, this is what we want. And we said, well, we can get there, but first we think that we need to do a blueprint for you. And we had been working on our blueprint process and how we wanted that to work. And so it was the first time we got to put the whole thing into action from start to end. And it just blew everybody away. I mean, we had the right team in place. We delivered this blueprint that has helped them. They're still using to put together their training. And so it was just a testament of everything we'd worked for. It just came together right at that point and was a huge success.
And you want to know my favorite part about that project?
What?
Listening to you say the name of that one town in Colombia, and all the time, the way you say it, I'm like,
Medellin. Did I say it right this
time? No. It's like every time you would say it, I'm just like, I love it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And I'm actually right now watching something on Netflix. May I recommend The Queen of Flow? It is season 2 is now out, 89 episodes. It's a Spanish novela, so it's on every single day. But it's just amazing. So I get to
All
They're
right,
in
I'll have
really
to check
unique
it out
spots.
after I finish Pretty Little Liars.
I can't even with you right now. I cannot. Um, so with our favorite part, now that we're laughing, what was your least favorite part of 2021?
All right, so I'm gonna bring this up, and I know this is really tough to talk about because we both we talked about this a lot and shed some tears over this. But I'm gonna be honest with everybody because I don't know I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. So we started off the year and we had a handful of contractors, and it was people that you had worked with, people that I'd worked with, that we kind of, started piecing together a team and we were figuring it out. And we had a contractor and we were asking her to do some things for us, but we weren't really clear. So we were saying, do this. And then we would get together and we would figure some things out, or we would see what would happen and we would have to switch gears. And I know that she got really frustrated with us. She hung in there with her and she got frustrated with us. But we were getting to the point where we were asking her to do things, but we weren't 100% clear on what we were trying to do. And she was getting frustrated, so she started not doing what we needed her to do. And so finally we got to the point where we had to have an honest conversation, and we had to just basically stop working with her. And I hate it because I feel like we failed her,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that we should have had a better plan for her, but I think that we brought her on too early. But I hate
Mm-hmm.
that she was frustrated with us. I mean, we've ended up, you know, building up that relationship with her, and we continue to speak with her. And I don't think there's any hard
Mm-hmm.
feelings, but I hate that. I hate
Yeah.
that was the hardest thing, having to let a contractor go, having to have that conversation. And it wasn't because she wasn't doing her job. It was just we got to a point to where we weren't sure how to best use her. And so that was the hardest
Mm-hmm.
thing. And my big lesson from that is I never want to be in that situation again. I don't ever want to be at a point, if we don't know where we're going, I'm certainly not going to bring someone else into this, to have
Yeah.
to slog through everything with us. So, yeah. What
Mm-hmm.
about you? What was
Yeah.
your least favorite?
So around the same time, so this was May 2021, just like that whole time.
Yeah.
It was one of our worst months financially, and we're to the point where I'm like, what, like, how am I doing this? Like, what am I doing? Not sure where the next, like, what the next check was exactly going to be, because clients were putting projects on hold, or they were not turning around reviews, and all of the all the things that we have to deal with, and that makes it really hard as a project-based service provider, right? I'm beholden to my clients, and if they put projects on hold or they don't turn around a review, like, that's great. They're getting paid. I'm not. So that was definitely really tough. And it was to the point, like, I have video of myself because I'm like, I want to remember this moment. I've got video of myself in tears, like in my closet, in tears. I think I've talked to you a million times, like in tears, like, what am I doing? I'm spending all of this money. And like, it's not exactly hitting. But through it all, what we realized is we're in like this 2-month cycle where whatever we do 2 to 3 months before impacts 2 to 3 months later. So when I look back, I'm like, okay, May was awful, but why was it awful? If I look back to February, March, we were in the middle of developing our client's facilitator training institute. I had to step in and really take the reins on that whole project. It was crazy, trying to facilitate this program that because of COVID we couldn't be in person, and it hindered. We had some not great facilitators in there that we had to have a conversation with about like them moving forward, and that was also really tough to have these conversations because like these people were are amazing. Just they were not right now for the product, for like the client's product. So like that was really tough. But because I was so busy doing the work, I wasn't out there. I wasn't doing all the things that I needed to really be doing in order to fill the pipeline for the future. So that, as hard as May was, and it was like truly like the one of the lowest points, like I could cry right now thinking about how low I felt and how low, like I wasn't even sure anything was going to like happen. It has brought me the clarity where like I cannot be doing all of the things and expect that like all the balls are going to like stay up, right? So I have to delegate, give up, and step. Like it was like Vanessa, do you want to step into that CEO role? Like truly, what you is this really what you want to be doing? And then you have to do that, and you can't be like in the work that much. And you can do some projects here and there, but not as in depth as I was.
It was the proof we needed to, and in that moment, this is not what we wanted to hear. But now looking back, it's the proof we needed that if we were really going to meet our goals and grow, then you and I had to stop being the freelancers. We really had to commit to this agency. It's also the time we made the flip from sales to marketing focus. And
Mm-hmm.
and you're right. And that was the biggest takeaway is our marketing coach and person we work with, like we went back and looked, and she really helped us to realize like what were we doing 2 months ahead of time. And that was a huge epiphany, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're watching this and you're thinking I'm seeing the same things, that's something that we're starting to get on the other side of, is like, yeah, we still have projects that go on hold and we still have reviews that take longer than expected, but we also have
The
a
worst.
pipeline going. And so we constantly have projects working, and so it's not like the whole business is on hold now. Just a piece
Mm-hmm.
is on hold. And it's just kind of a peek inside what we're learning. But May was really tough, but gosh, we've learned so much from that moment.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about our least favorite moment. What was your favorite moment of 2021? We're going to bring it back up. We're going to upswing here.
We're not going to depress everybody even more. I would say the brand shoot we did in Salt Lake, and like being able to take the team to Salt Lake and being able to take the team to like Devlin, that was really amazing. But like the brand shoot was super fun. Like we had 90s music and we were just like having so much fun. We had an amazing photographer, and she was just great. I think she thought we were fun and funny. That was really fun. But also now that I'm thinking about it out loud, you know, it was really cool.
What?
I'm gonna cry. So when I went to Vegas, I know you couldn't be there, loser. Daughter's birthday. Dan, Danielle and Tiffany had never been. And Tiffany's like literally were at the Bellagio with the water show, the fountain show, or whatever. And they were literally, not that I mean to laugh because I am super patriotic, but the song was who crap, who is it? It's like some, I forgot the singer, and I like literally danced to the song growing up. Like Proud to Be an American or something like that. I forget. It was like Michael Bublé did it, or what? I forget. It's not Michael Bublé. It's like the other guy, Josh Groban. That guy.
Yeah.
He had a song. Yeah. So he had a song, like that song was what was playing, and she starts crying, and I'm like, what's happening? And she's like, I'm just like so appreciative that like, this, like I am here, like you were able to bring me here, like this is something I've never experienced, and it was so beautiful. And then Danielle said the same thing, like she made this reel of like all the fun things that we did in Vegas and like all the sites that we saw, and like being able to provide these experiences for people that otherwise, like, not that they wouldn't have been able to, I just don't know if they would have chosen it. Yeah. I mean, that's like incredible. Like, that's why I do this. Like, that's why I want like all the things, because I want to be able to provide these experiences. So that's been just like,
but that amazing. Trickles down into our learning. Like, that's part of our values, even at Anchored Training. We want to provide learning experiences that are unique.
Right.
And yeah, so I love it because that is so ingrained in who we are
Mhm.
at anchor training. I love that that's one of your favorite
Yeah.
moments because it's so perfect. It's so
Yeah.
perfect.
And I love that I'm literally looking at Tiffany like, what the, like, you're a loser. Why are you crying right now? This is just water. And then she's always like, okay, fine. Okay. So what was your favorite L&D conversation in 2021?
So mine has been and continues to be, because I keep talking about it. Well, it's two things. No, it's okay. So mine is the learner focused framework. That's something that I developed back in 2015, 2016, after I finished my master's degree, or I'd started to develop it. And then I researched it and I used that. And then when we started doing the things we were doing, I was like applying the framework to our projects and talking about it more. And I have people asking me about it all the time and messaging. And then you had it turned into a graphic, and I cried when I saw it because it was
Mhm.
amazing. But that's been my favorite conversation, just because I put it together because I thought, hey, I just want to remember what I'm learning about how people learn in an online environment. But it's grown and it's really like people are really using it and it's helping them to think about learning and development and how to best reach the people that they're trying to train and help. And so that's been my
Mhm.
favorite. What about you? What's yours?
I mean, talking about TikTok, and
Right.
bringing it to the booth and like really talking about how these short micro learnings really are able to get people to be engaged. And then just like icing on the cake for me when the article came out that TikTok surpassed YouTube, like, yeah, probably a lot of like dog TikToks or like funny TikToks, but people are watching the platform and they're really consuming. Like I like go onto TikTok to learn things all the time, like how to do something really quick, or like tips and tricks and being able to have that conversation. But then having that conversation in Salt Lake with our neighbor who was like dogging us about TikTok, and then
Right.
5 seconds later is telling me all the things that he learned, and I'm like,
Right.
sir, literally proving my point here. It was short, engaging, motivating.
Right. Yes.
I'm like, take the word TikTok out of it. It's micro learning, right?
Yep.
You don't have too much text on the screen, like PowerPoint 101, graphic design 101.
Yep.
You want to make it something that is memorable. Like all these things are like a true principles of learning.
Yep.
And people are scared to have that conversation, but that's been super fun because there's been so many light bulbs. And I'm really, yeah, I thought it's probably my
Yep.
favorite
And I love that
conversation.
it aligns like the framework that I was working on. Then you started talking about TikTok and they came together. And, because what we talk about with TikTok is that it's micro learning. And then we have the
Mm-hmm.
framework that actually breaks it down and supports it and shows you how it all works together. I agree. It's awesome how that's all connected. We know what our favorite conversations have been, but what's coming down the pipe? So, what trend is happening in learning and development for 2022?
So I am really excited to talk about. So someone posted about re-onboarding on LinkedIn, and it really has me thinking. Had me thinking. Um, I know that it can be like a little bit controversial, but I actually think that re-onboarding is a thing, and really, it's just for me like a realignment of expectations. I think like 2022, like 2021, everyone was still like in flux. Is this work from home situation going to be permanent? Am I going to go hybrid? Like all those things. And I think that next year, like just permanent decisions are going to be made.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I think just like a resetting of expectations of like how this all looks,
Mm-hmm.
right? And just realigning it, and just being able to like talk with your team about like how are we going to be continuing to connect and engage, and like what are those opportunities, or what are those places that you can connect and engage. So for me, I'm really excited that like my next conversation is going to be a lot about re-onboarding, and it like how to engage your team when the team looks like the way they function is going to be totally different.
Right. So, so the trends I see actually support the re-onboarding. I'm with you. I am so excited about this because it goes to the personal philosophy I have about learning, which is that there is no one size fits all approach to learning. And so I would say that anybody who is considering re-onboarding should also think of this personalized approach. So, we're all adults now. We're not in school anymore. Why do we think that everybody should get the same training? Like, taking advantage of assessment tools, pre-assessment tools, like, and you're re-onboarding, right? So you're working with these people. So you have all this data to look at. And like, if you notice that somebody's weak in an area, then have a training plan for that person. Don't force everybody to go through that. And so I think that personalized approach is a trend that we're going to see come out of this, because it supports what you're saying: re-onboarding, resetting those expectations, rethinking how we're doing things. I'm going to cheat and throw another trend in there because it's also in this personalized re-onboarding space. But I think that while we're personalizing learning, we also have to think about how do we bring everybody back together so they can learn from one another. Like, I think it's safe to say at this point, we all realize that the teacher is not the end all be all of the knowledge, and now that e-learning is taking off, it's having its moment for sure. Then we have to think that people are going to need that connection with one another. So I think learning communities are the big trend that we're going to see. And maybe not at the beginning of 2022, but definitely towards the end, we're going to see a need for everybody to come together and share their experiences and their insights. And that can be done in learning communities. And so I think that's going to support that re-onboarding trend that we're going to see roll out next year.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're absolutely right. Like, so many people are missing in-person conferences and stuff for like that idea sharing, that community building. And as much as like we miss it as like solopreneurs, freelancers, we get to meet others in our community. Like, I don't give value in them, and I really need to like talk about it, like think about it more, like as important it is for us who work on our own. It's really important for, companies that used to have, like, I used to work with pharma clients, or I still work with pharma clients all the time. National sales meetings were huge. It was like a time for everybody to connect. They have not done that. And if they have, it's been a totally scaled down version. Like, there was a lot of connections that were made during those, a lot of team building during those times that they haven't been able to do in the same way. And I'm sure it's like definitely affected some of that. So,
okay, totally agree. So that leads us to what's next for 2022. What is Anchor Training going to be doing?
All the things. So I went to a psychic years ago that said 2021 was going to be my year. And I do agree that I think that it ended up being my year. It definitely did not start that way. But I actually think that 2022 is going to be so much bigger because we're more sure of ourselves and because we know our systems and processes. So I'm really excited to go back to ATD's conference, go back to DevLearn. And I have a few vacations planned this year. So to really have like the team do their thing so that I could be on vacation and the business still running, the project still going. And like these two, like the two vacations that I'm thinking of, like I'm not going to be able to be on that much, if at all, really. So it's really like like everyone is going to show up and, show out. So I'm really excited about that. I am really excited this year about like continuing our brand awareness, but through work, like showcasing our work, talking more about the work that we do, all of those things, whether it's on social media, like through our website and our portfolio, like really putting our work out there so people can really see what the experience is like. I'm really talking more about like what the Anchored training experience is.
So speaking of, what's really exciting is that we're going to be speaking beyond just our own channels. You've been accepted to speak at ATD ICE and Technology 2022. And then I'll be speaking at some conferences as well. So it's really exciting. What's your big goal?
Yeah,
You have
I'm
a
really
goal around that?
Yeah, so I need to speak live at DevLearn. That is my goal because that would be just the trifecta for me. So that is going to be on the list. But I'm really excited for the 2 conferences I'm going to be speaking at. It's like, those are dreams, those are like things that I never thought I could do. I remember going to Technology a few times and like just attending. Never did I think I would be on that stage. And so the fact that I'm going to be speaking is really amazing. And, that's going to be amazing. So I'm really excited about it. It's just like going to be the icing on the cake for when we go to Orlando in May for ICE. So I think it'll be good. I'm also really excited, like, being able to introduce you and your channel. You're going to be speaking on the Anchor Training YouTube channel and doing more speaking about learning and development, your role. So I think that's going to be a really great way to like kick off 2022 and really show everybody like how we work together and how we play off of each other.
Yeah, I'm excited about that too. Like I mentioned earlier, I've started talking about the framework and people are like, hey, that's really good. And I'm like, well, there's more where that came from. So we're going to start sharing with y'all some of the behind the scenes, how does it work? What's this vision we have for the learning and the training that we put out there? So yeah, really excited about that. I'm really excited also for 2022. We're going to continue to grow our team and strengthen our team. We made huge advancements this year. We have an official team. We have official leads. We have a contractor handbook. We had a huge contractor kickoff. I mean, we've really started on the right foot, and we're going to continue to grow that team and invest in that team and, continue down that path. So I'm excited about that part.
And are you ready to tell her, like, to really put it out there? Our big goal for 2022?
We're going to manifest it. You ready? What's our big goal?
We're going to hit $500,000 in revenue next year.
Yep.
It's going to happen.
That's our goal. We're going to do it. We're going to do it.
It's our goal.
Yeah.
We're going to put the systems into place and continue providing great work and work that our clients, expect and are proud of. And that is just going to be our little stepping stone to our big goal of $1 million by 2028. And got to put it out there because I know that if we can do that, it's going to be able to give us the ability to provide what our contractors need in order to be successful in their lives and continue on to pursue their goals. So that's what like keeps me moving forward like every day when I'm like running crazy and things are like everywhere. Like my house is a mess. I'm like, it's okay. It's all going for like this bigger goal, and then everyone can live the way that they want to live.
Right.
Have all the things that they want to have, be able to do all the things that they've ever wanted to do because we've been able to provide these opportunities. So I'll deal with a really messy foyer. Not that I'm staring at it, really annoyed that it's really messy.
I think,
friends.
No, we're going to get there. We're going to do it.
Yeah, we definitely are. We're going to get there. Friends, I want you to take a minute and write down below what it is that you are really excited for in 2022. Share some things that you did in 2021. Then go subscribe to the Anchor Training YouTube channel if you have not already, so you can catch Rachel starting in January. And this is it. you're not getting any more of me in 2021. I am taking off the last 2 weeks to be with the family and do all the things and really just prepare for our Disney trip in January. Like, what was I thinking? Disney? Really? It's way too much. So I just need to mentally prepare myself for it. But I hope you all have a very, very, very happy holiday season, an amazing 2021, amazing kick-ass start to 2022. Rachel, thank you for being here. And we all cannot wait to see what you're going to do on the Anchor Training YouTube channel.
Yes.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you.